Hi, everybody. Well, this is really wonderful to see so many people here promptly at 7 p.m. And so we are actually going to get started because we have a lot of information to cover, and I assume that more of us will join, but let's get started. So welcome to this special event. We hold it once or twice a year, and this time we're titling it The Ultimate Guide to Purchasing an EV in 2023. Let us begin by telling you a little bit about the organization that is presenting this workshop. Actera is a San Francisco Bay Area nonprofit. We've been around for a long time, since 1970. Our mission is to bring people together to create local solutions for a healthy planet. And currently, we are laser focused on addressing climate change with a priority on equity. If you are interested in learning more about our organization, I strongly recommend that you join us at our biggest event of the year, Promise to Our Planet, which takes place on Thursday, March 23rd, with an impressive lineup of speakers, including Dr. Jonathan Foley, the Executive Director of Project Drawdown. We hope that you can attend. So I would like to introduce the Go EV program and the staff working with me on this program. It is named after the late Carl Knapp, who was a much admired Stanford professor, renewable energy expert, EV advocate, and all-around Earth champion. The highlights of our program include our wonderful EV ambassador volunteers, many of whom you see here tonight. As well as events such as the one we're doing this evening. We also provide EV consultations for income qualifying residents, and we focus a lot of our efforts on advocacy, more of which you will hear about later this evening. All right, let's talk briefly about how tonight will play out. First, we'll have introductions, and then we will have a presentation that will last approximately 25 minutes. And that will be followed by breakout rooms where you will have the opportunity to ask questions about a number of topics. And then we will come back to the main room and we will give you an opportunity to take a survey that will give us valuable feedback. And everyone who takes the survey will have an opportunity to be entered into a drawing for a $50 Target gift card. So we hope that incentivizes everyone. And then after we close the formal program, hopefully around 8 p.m., some of us will stay on in the main room and informally answer any remaining questions until about 8:15. Okay, so before we begin, I'd like to introduce our presenting sponsors that make this evening possible. Tonight, we are joined by Connie Chu from the City of Palo Alto Utilities, and she's going to inform us about the city's electric vehicle programming. Connie? Oh, Connie, you'll need to unmute.
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, my name's Connie. I'm from the City Palo Alto Utilities Department within the Utilities Program Services Division. And right now we have a very generous rebate for EV chargers that people install at a school, place of worship, nonprofit, or multifamily property. And you can get up to $80,000 for up to 10 chargers. So it comes out to about $8,000 per charger. And if you have difficulty, kind of mapping out what are the first steps, we do have help and assistance for that. And you can email the EV advisor at citypaloalto.org to get help with that. And also, if you have general questions regarding, water conservation, EVs, EV chargers, feel free to email us at utilityprograms@citypaloalto.org. And right now, we have more than over a dozen events that we will be sponsoring and working with Actera for this year. And so we're very excited, especially for our EV scavenger hunt that we're tentatively planned for the Farmers Market on Cal Ave in Palo Alto for March 26th. And so we would love to see a lot of people come out and check out all the EVs we'll have on display, as well as the other events that we have, virtual and in person. The dates are tentative and may change, if certain situations come up. So be sure to check our workshops webpage to make sure the events are going to occur at the dates.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Connie.
Thank you.
Our other presenting sponsor this evening is the City of Sunnyvale. And so now I would like to introduce Roya Samani, and she's going to highlight the many EV resources that are available to local residents. Roya.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'm Roya Samani. I'm the Sustainability Community Engagement Fellow with the City of Sunnyvale. And tonight we're going to be hearing a great talk on our best insider tips for purchasing an EV this year. Currently, almost half of all the greenhouse gas emissions in Sunnyvale are from transportation. So the City of Sunnyvale has created the Sunnyvale Drive Electric program, and that supports our climate action playbook target goals of having 20% of all road vehicles be zero emissions by 2030 and 75% be zero emissions by 2050. In 2021, there were about 1,000 new zero emission vehicles registered in Sunnyvale, and it raised our share of zero emission vehicles to 6.8%. So the percentage of people choosing to drive electric is increasing each year, which is great to see. We also know that electric vehicle adoption rates in multifamily homes is about half of the electric vehicle adoption rates in single family homes. So to help all our community members make the transition to EVs, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, also known as SVCE, it has a suite of resources that will all be linked in the chat for you. The first resource is SVCE's Grid Share app for their customers in single family homes. And the app will help you learn how to most effectively charge your car and how to save money while you charge. The next SVCE program is the eHub. So the eHub is a great tool that will assist you in selecting an EV. It'll help you find rebates and it'll help you locate local charging stations as well. And then for those in multifamily homes, residents can connect their property managers to the Future Fit Assist. It offers technical assistance for how to electrify and informs them on incentives to install the EV chargers. And there's currently $45,000 available for installing EV chargers at multifamily properties through SVCE. Next slide. Lastly, we want you all to keep an eye out for one more webinar with Actera. It's an EV Financial Incentives Clinic on April 5th, and we'll also have 2 in-person ride and drive events. Our first one's coming up in the next month on March 11th, and you'll be able to test drive various EVs and speak to EV experts and owners. If you want to reserve a slot, you can scan the QR code on the slide, or you can click the link in the chat and register. We hope tonight's event will support and encourage you all to make the switch to an EV.
Thank you so much, Roya and Connie. Again, this programming wouldn't be possible without the support of the City of Sunnyvale and the City of Palo Alto Utilities. So thank you so much. All right, let's introduce our breakout room hosts. These are very knowledgeable EV ambassadors. They're EV owners. They have a lot of experience driving electric vehicles. So I'm going to say their names and then they will wave to you and you will see them later in the breakout rooms. We have Sven, Chris, Ivan, Kara, Steve, Joe T, Dima, Greg, Sonia, John, Jane, and Joe S. We also have 2 special guests. Mike Brown is from Greenlight Auto Wholesale, if you could raise your hand and wave. And Greenlight Auto Wholesale is a local used car dealership specializing in electric vehicles. And he'll be co-hosting the used EV breakout room. We also are pleased to welcome Maggie Singleton from the Center for Sustainable Energy, who will be co-hosting the tax credits and rebates breakout room. The Center for Sustainable Energy is the entity that oversees the California Clean Vehicle Rebate. All right, let's get started. I thought I'd give you just a very brief overview about the state of the market right now. You probably are aware that EVs are very, very hot. Manufacturers are finally all in. They have finally made the pivot to producing EVs. The EV explosion can be evidenced by this Sunday if you watch the Super Bowl. So with an audience of 200 million, it's one of the biggest platforms of the year for car makers. And just 4 years ago, in 2019, there was one EV ad. This year, it's possible, it's my prediction, that EV commercials just might outweigh gas car ads, and that is really telling. We also know that demand is up, as we see evidenced by the number of individuals that are at this event. We have 152 people in our audience tonight. The demand for EVs is strong and growing. Now, there's something else at work in the economy. We all know that the pandemic created a little bit of havoc on a lot of different industries, including the automobile manufacturing industry, chip shortages and supply chain shortages and bottlenecks. And so that actually affected the supply of electric vehicles. And it affected the supply of all passenger vehicles. It became really hard to find any kind of car for a couple of years. And because the supply was constrained and demand was high, that was the perfect combination for dealers to be able to tack on to the price of their vehicles what we call a market adjustment, which is they're just charging more. They're charging anywhere from $2,000 to maybe even $10,000 over MSRP. So we have started to see some relaxing of the chip shortage and the supply chain bottlenecks, and the supply of electric vehicles is actually starting to come back. And that's a great thing. Even 6 months ago, I wasn't able to give the good news that I can give tonight. And that is to say that a lot of these markups are coming down. And some models actually don't have markups right now, or they have lower markups than we've seen in the last couple of years. So I guess what I want to say about you who are here tonight that are interested in purchasing an EV this year, it might take a little bit of patience, and it will take some research in order to get the best deal and in order to get the vehicle that you want. The good news is that a lot of vehicles are coming to market this year and next year. And we have, like I said, seen the availability start to pick up. So with all of this said about the state of the market, let's talk a little bit about how we can kind of overcome some of these hurdles. And in particular, we'll start out with how do we overcome these market adjustments? So really, this is one of the biggest tips I can share with you tonight. Shop around. Different dealers, they're all individually responsible for pricing their vehicles. And so different dealers can choose to put different markups on their vehicles, and they do. So you might have to even look outside the Bay Area if you are set on a particular model. For an example, this is an image of the Hyundai Ioniq 5. You'll see that different dealers in the Bay Area have different markups on this exact same car. In Richmond, I just looked this up today, there's a $5,000 markup. On the other hand, dealers in Dublin and Santa Clara are only marking it up $2,000. And San Leandro, which is a great surprise, I saw that it had no markup, although it did have $1,000 worth of dealer add-ons. So they're adding paint and fabric protection for $699 and Carnamic Connect for $299, whatever that is. But the point of this slide is to say you really, really need to look at a number of different dealerships in order to get the best deal. And sometimes that might entail going outside of the Bay Area. We have another anecdotal story of one of our EV ambassadors who very recently purchased a Chevy Bolt EV. They're in they are in hot demand right now because of the tax credit that I'll talk about in a moment. And so we can see local dealers have about a $2,000 markup on many of the Chevy Bolts, but he went to Fresno, or it actually was Porterville, just south of Fresno, and he was actually able to purchase his Chevy Bolt without a markup. So shop around. Okay, let's talk about the subject that a lot of people are talking about in the EV world, and that is the federal tax credit. This is one way for buyers of new vehicles to save a lot of money off the price of an electric vehicle. There have been some changes to the tax credit very recently, and the changes are still continuing. So I'm going to spend some time on this particular topic. First of all, I want to say that it has been given a new name. So now it's not called the EV federal tax credit, it's called the New Clean Vehicle Credit. And the great thing about this credit is that you can get up to $7,500 off your taxes if you purchase a 100% EV or a plug-in hybrid. What happens is that if you buy the car this year in 2023, you don't get that as a discount right away off the price of the car. You do have to wait until you file the following year's taxes in order to claim the credit. This really only helps you if you have a tax liability. If you don't owe taxes, you are not going to get that $7,500 as a rebate check. You really have to have that much of a tax liability in order to take advantage of this credit. I want to backtrack just a moment to give a caveat about everything that I'm going to talk about in terms of taxes. This is our best informed summary of this new credit, but we are not accountants. So we strongly recommend that you talk to your tax advisor if you wish to take advantage of this credit. So this is all what we understand about this credit because it is quite complicated. Let's talk a little bit more about the eligibility requirements. Okay. First of all, the biggest eligibility requirement is that the EV must be made in North America. So if it's made in Mexico, it qualifies. This is a new requirement, and it has substantially lowered the number of models that are eligible for the credit. There's now also income limitations. So if you make over the incomes that are on this slide, you will not be able to take advantage of the tax credit. And finally, they have imposed price limitations. So if the car is too expensive, it's not going to qualify for the tax credit. There's another new additional requirement that is really important if you are going to take advantage and go out there and purchase a new EV in the next few months. And that is that the dealer has to report your name and your taxpayer identification number to the IRS when you buy their electric vehicle. And this is a new requirement, so not all dealers may know about it, but they have to do it in order for you to get the credit. Okay. So the rules are changing as we speak. And what has happened is starting January 1st, there was going to be another eligibility requirement. And that requirement was involving where the EV's batteries were mined and manufactured. The IRS has actually delayed imposing this additional requirement because it's very complicated to find out where these batteries are mined and assembled. And so they don't have that information yet. And so this is a very unique opportunity for individuals who are ready to purchase an electric vehicle pretty much now because the delay of this additional eligibility requirement means that there are several electric vehicles that will qualify for the full tax credit of $7,500 as of January 1 and all the way until these extra rules come into play. And they believe that these extra rules will come into play in March. You have to take delivery of the vehicle before these extra rules come into play. If you do, and if you purchase one of the vehicles that are on the left-hand side of the screen, you are in luck because you will be able to take the entire $7,500 tax credit and potentially some of the vehicles that are on the right side of the screen. But right now we will focus on the vehicles on the left. And I'm going to run through briefly these models. First of all, we have the tried and the true, the Chevrolet Bolt and the Nissan Leaf. These are great cars. They're inexpensive. They are made in North America, and they currently qualify during this small window for the entire tax credit. Now, because of this, inventory is kind of low and there are some markups still at dealers, but they still are available. You can find one of these vehicles if you research and if you pursue. So these are two of the real big winners for this small window of getting the full tax credit. The VW ID4 is another vehicle that's made in North America and currently is eligible for the entire tax credit. It's a solid car. You've probably seen a lot of them start to come on the road these days. And we have an ambassador that will be in one of our breakout rooms that has had a great experience with the ID4 and is happy to talk to you about it then. And finally, we have the Ford Mustang Mach-E. This is a very sporty car, kind of reminiscent of the original Mustang Mach-E, kind of a sporty muscle car. It is also made in North America. It is therefore also eligible for the entire tax credit during this small window. Another great choice. On a recent search, I did see that the VW ID4 and the Mustang Mach-E are currently available on dealer lots. Okay, what happens beginning in March? We actually don't know. We really don't know once these additional requirements kick in, if any of these vehicles will still qualify for part of the tax credit. Perhaps some of them will qualify for half of the tax credit. Some of them are not going to qualify for any of the tax credit. In fact, it's predicted that very, very few electric vehicles will qualify for the tax credit once these additional battery restrictions kick in. So this is a great opportunity right now to make your purchase if you want to take advantage of the tax credit. Okay. Now, at first I titled this slide Leasing Loopholes, but I thought I better change that to Leasing Opportunities, although it is a loophole. And this is because if you lease an electric vehicle rather than purchase it, you may be able to get some or all of the tax credit without any of the restrictions that are on the individual tax credit that we just talked about. This is because the IRS has recently clarified that manufacturers can claim the commercial clean vehicle credit for EVs that they lease to their customers. So this commercial clean vehicle credit, it doesn't have the income and price restrictions and the manufacturing restrictions that all the other EVs have on it. And secondly, the manufacturer's financing arm, that is the entity that leases the vehicle to you, they actually are the ones that are purchasing the vehicle. So they get the tax credit and they can choose to transfer some or all of the tax credit to you, the person who is leasing the vehicle. So you may want to know, all right, are any manufacturers doing this? At first, last month, no, because this was a very new qualification. But this month, it looks as though certain manufacturers have decided that they are willing to pass through some or all of the tax credit to the people leasing the vehicles. Here's one example. This is kind of the car of the hour in my books. It's the Hyundai Kona Electric. It starts out at a very reasonable price. This is an image that I've pulled from Fremont Hyundai. And lo and behold, almost a miracle that they're selling it not only at MSRP, but they actually show a $700 discount on this car. This was from Monday. And the manufacturer is currently passing through $2,500 of the tax credit to individuals who lease this vehicle. So that's a start. It's not the full tax credit, but it's a partial pass-through of the tax credit. Here's an even better example. I just saw that Volvo, the C40 Recharge, here at, this one is at McKevitt San Leandro Volvo. Volvo has decided that they are willing to pass through the entire tax credit to individuals who lease their electric vehicles. So this is a fantastic opportunity for individuals who are willing to lease an EV rather than purchase the EV. And just remember, it is up to the individual manufacturer if they want to pass through the tax credit to you. So again, do your research. All right, so let's talk about the new tax credit for purchasing used EVs. This is brand new starting January 1st. Buyers of used EVs are now able to claim 30% of the price of their used EV up to $4,000 as a tax credit. The car has to be at least 2 years old. It has to be purchased through a dealer, and the sales price cannot exceed $25,000. And there's also income limitations on the buyer. So you can't make more than $75,000 if you're single filer, or $150,000 if you're a joint filer. The wonderful thing about both the new tax credit and the used tax credit is that starting next year, January 1st of 2024, if you purchase an EV, you can actually elect to transfer the credit to the dealer, and that will enable the dealer to give you that credit as a discount when you purchase the car, so you will not have to wait until the following year to claim it on your taxes. So this benefit does not start until January 1, 2024. There are other rebates available, especially here in California. I'm showing two on the screen right now, and I'm not going to go into details. However, if you would like to join the rebate breakout room, Maggie Singleton and Sonia Marwood are going to be able to answer all your questions about all these rebates and also about the federal tax credit. Also, if you would like to get a deeper dive into all of these rebates and financial incentives, especially the additional grants that are available for income qualifying residents, I invite you to attend our April 5th EV Financial Incentives Clinic. And Irvin should be putting the link to RSVP in the chat. Okay. Let's talk about more currently available models. Now, these are not the ones that qualify for the federal tax credit, but there are some pretty impressive models in this group. I mentioned the Hyundai Ioniq 5. It is a fantastic vehicle. It actually won the World Car of the Year award. It has incredibly fast charging. It has excellent range. It has a feature called vehicle to load power that enables you to power your appliances. So if you wanted to power a TV off of this car, you could. And it has high owner satisfaction. And it's all around a really impressive car. If you go into the breakout room called All Other Models, our EV ambassador, Kara, can talk to you more about this car if you have any questions. Its sister car is made by Kia. The Kia EV6 is another extremely impressive electric vehicle. It's a little sportier, a little lower to the ground, but it has the same ultra-fast charging. It has the same range. It's built on the same platform as the Hyundai Ioniq 5. And again, it is a really, really exceptional electric vehicle. Let's talk about Nissan. You know, it's had the Leaf available forever, but finally it has a new electric vehicle that's out on the market called the Nissan Ariya. I did a quick search and they are starting to show up at local dealers, which is fantastic. It is a solid entrant. Now, it's not made in North America, so it will not qualify for the federal tax credit. Not now, not in the future, unless they change the rules again. But it is really something to consider. The price is reasonable, the range is great, and it probably has, hopefully, Nissan dependability, and it looks nice too. So let's now talk about a few upcoming models. You probably know that I think Hyundai is really an up-and-comer in the electric vehicle market. It is really doing some great things with its vehicles. After the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6 is going to come out sometime this fall. It is very sporty, very sleek. To me, it looks like a Porsche, and I am highly anticipating it. It has an amazing range, purportedly of 361 miles. It should also have the incredible fast charging of its predecessor, the Hyundai Ioniq 5. I'm really looking forward to seeing this car come out. Okay, let's talk about an affordable model. Chevrolet Equinox EV is coming out sometime this fall. It's going to be a great entrant for an economically priced electric vehicle. They say that it's going to start at $30,000. It might qualify for the federal tax credit because it's made in Mexico. Fingers crossed, depending upon the battery requirements that kick in later. It has a great range. It has all-wheel drive optional, and it's a little bit bigger than some of the other economical cars that are on the market currently, such as the Chevy Bolt and the Nissan Leaf. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this one come onto dealers' lots this fall. All right, the Fisker Ocean. People have been talking about this car for a while. You know, it's coming soon, very soon. You know, it's impressive. It's eco-friendly, it has great towing capacity, it has a great range. People are excited about it. It will be a little bit difficult to get a hold of one of these because a lot of people put reservations down. So I don't see it really becoming available to people with non-reservations until sometime maybe later this year. But look out for it on the road. And finally, I want to talk about the Kia EV9. This is exciting because it's a full-size SUV. It has 3 rows. It has seating for 6+ people. It's coming out in the fall. It has a great range. I love the Kia brand. It's likely to have ultra-fast charging as well. And I'm super excited because a lot of people ask about full-size SUVs or vehicles that can fit more than 5 people. The Kia EV9 will be one of those cars. Okay, I want to make an announcement right now. We are going to enter our breakout rooms very soon. But for now, what I would like to do is have our room hosts enter the rooms before everyone else so that they can get settled. So if everyone else can please stay in the main room for a few more minutes, we will instruct you on when it's time for all of you to enter the breakout rooms. So we're going to say goodbye to our hosts and we're going to see them in just a few minutes. Okay, so let's talk about some of the our top 10 lists. First of all, let's talk about the award winners. As I mentioned, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, it received this award, the World Car of the Year. And there's several other awards that seem to be very impressive. The Car of the Year, the Jeep Avenger is a very new entrant onto the scene, and it was immediately awarded the Car of the Year. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one too, especially for all of the people who love their Jeeps. You'll see that Motor Trend has actually given 3 EVs the Car of the Year designation, and that is super impressive. Lucid Air has gotten several awards. It is really one of the most magnificent electric vehicles available. The price tag is also very steep, but if you really want top of the line, best EV on the road, go for the Lucid Air. The Kia EV6 and the Jaguar I-Pace are hugely popular in Europe, winning the European Car of the Year. And Car and Driver for the last 2 years has given awards to electric vehicles. And the 2 winners so far are the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Okay, let's talk about some other selections for best of lists. I'm not going to go through all of these cars, but you can see that I pulled up some of the cars that have the fastest charging, the longest range. I also included the longest range plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So you'll see that they have, in parentheses, they have their electric range before they kick into gas to give extra mileage to the vehicle. As I mentioned, a lot of people are asking, well, what electric vehicles hold more than 5 passengers? I mentioned some of these cars below, the Kia Sorento, which is a plug-in hybrid, and the Chrysler Pacifica minivan, which is also a plug-in hybrid, along with the Rivian R1S, which is a full-size SUV, and the Tesla X and Y. Okay, I had said that I was going to talk about the cars that have all-wheel drive. The good news is that most new EVs actually are coming with standard all-wheel drive or optional all-wheel drive. It's really very few EVs now that actually don't have optional all-wheel drive, and they tend to be the smaller and more economically priced EVs, such as the Bolt, the Leaf, the Kona, and the Niro. And speaking of those 4 cars, they actually make the list of the most affordable new cars to purchase. So the #1 affordable electric vehicle to purchase right now is the Chevy Bolt at $26,500. And remember, it is eligible for the full tax credit if you purchase it before those additional requirements kick in March. The same holds true for the Nissan Leaf. And those are rounded out by the Hyundai Kona and the Kia Niro EV. How about used EVs? Used EVs under $25,000. I'm not going to read this entire list. We will be providing the slides and the video for you after the event, so you can take a look at these lists afterwards. But you can see there's pretty significant number of used EVs that you can purchase for less than $25,000. And that threshold is for you to take advantage of the used EV tax credit. Some people are interested in towing capacity, if they have boats to tow or whatnot. And so I've listed those here. You can check them out afterwards. Of course, you have trucks that are in this category. A surprise entrant is the Fisker Ocean, which actually, and the Audi e-tron that actually both have 4,000-pound towing capacity. So that's pretty impressive for them not being SUVs or trucks. So let's wrap things up. Before I open up the survey, I would like to share a little bit about how Actera is supporting equitable access to EV charging. Our organization is actually helping to lead a coalition called EV Charging for All. And it's a coalition of clean transportation advocates, apartment and condo residents, and others who are advocating for equitable access to EV charging for all Californians, including residents of apartments and condominiums, who have a harder time charging their vehicles because it is harder to install charging equipment in multifamily dwellings. So my colleague, Linda Hutchins-Knowles, is really spearheading the EV Charging for All Coalition, and has done some amazing work advocating for equitable charging to be installed in apartment complexes. She, along with the coalition, is constantly urging the state of California and Bay Area cities to require that each new apartment and condo unit with parking get an EV-ready charging spot. And so we invite you, if you have an interest in this topic, if you live in an apartment or a condo, or if you're just passionate about expanding EV access in multifamily housing, we welcome your participation in promoting this really important cause. And so we're putting this bit.ly link in here. And I think Linda wants to add something. Go for it, Linda.
Thank you. Yes, everyone put the bit.ly link in the chat. This is for you to sign up to offer to get involved. We'd love to hear from you. And I wanted to give a shout out to Sven Thiessen, who's one of our ambassadors tonight, because he and Vanessa Warhead are the founders of this coalition, and we're continuing his great work, EV Charging for All Coalition. We'd love to have you be part of it. We've been commenting just this week at the California Green Code Advisory Committee, helping to make sure that they are going to expand access to EV charging in the next code update. If anybody wants to join us tomorrow morning, I'll put my email in this chat so that you can jump on and help if you'd like that quickly. Thank you, Ariane.
I'm going to close out our program by once again thanking our presenting sponsors, the City of Sunnyvale and the City of Palo Alto Utilities, for making tonight's program possible. I also want to thank our EV ambassadors for lending us all their expertise in the breakout rooms. Thank you to my colleagues for helping tonight. And to our attendees, we wish you great success on your journey to EV ownership. And with that, we will say good night